Hello, my name is Andrew. You can call me Cookies, and today we are going over the Quickstart Mythic Plus guide for Holy Priest. So we're just going to jump right into it and go into our talents. First row, Trail of Light is going to be your go-to. Enlightenment is a good option if you need more mana. Second row, we have Perseverance. This is going to be really good for damage reduction, and then other than that, you can take Angelic Feather if you want a little bit more utility. Third row, we have Guardian Angel is going to be our go-to. This is just a nice little tank cooldown, essentially. And then you can take Cosmic Ripple for weeks where there is like Grievous or Bursting, especially Bursting, where you need more AoE output to the entire group and you don't really need a tank cooldown. Next row, we have Censure as our main choice. This is just a nice little stun. We can basically utilize it as an interrupt also. And then other than that, Psychic Voice is pretty viable if you need more of like an AoE interrupt or AoE kind of CC during intense packs. And then Shining Force can be good for weeks where there's like Necrotic or Sanguine, but you just have to be careful to make sure that the mobs don't get flown across the entire instance, because Shining Force knocks them back like extremely far, like almost too far. Next up, we have Surge of Light. This just gives us a nice little output to healing. Binding Heal and Circle of Healing are used if we need more AoE healing. Again, this serves as more of like a single target heal, as well as buffing like a lot of Azerite choices that we're going to be taking to help Flash of Light be more beneficial. And then next row is Divine Star. It's the easiest talent to use just because it's more controllable. Benediction just doesn't do very much. It can be useful if you don't like Divine Star or Halo, but Halo technically does more healing and more damage, but it's just harder to utilize because it can aggro so many things, especially with how dungeons currently are. But you can utilize Halo if you can place it properly and not aggro extra things, but other than that, just take Divine Star because it's a nice little option that still provides a decent amount of healing and damage. And then next up we have Apotheosis. This just is a nice CD that we're going to have be able to utilize. And then Salvation might be able to be useful. I haven't played around with it. I don't play Holy Priest much at all in Mythic Plus, but I guess I could see it being useful for like really intense boss fights where Apotheosis is just going to burn through too much of your mana and not be enough to sustain, when Salvation could just be that cooldown you need for, you know, that little end portion of Galv in Temple of Setherless or some kind of boss fight where, you know, if there's like Grievous or something on a boss fight that you need to deal with. So that covers talents. Next thing is Azerite. I'm going to go into the dungeon journal for this one because I have Raid Azerite currently equipped and I've just been using that. So for Azerite, some really good traits that you're going to want to go after are, the two main traits are Promise of Deliverance, which buffs our Holy Writ Serenity, and then we also have Permeating Glow, which buffs our Flash Heal. So besides that, the other viable ones are like generic traits that you can find on pieces of gear. Undulating Tides is really good for damage. And then some other healing traits you could take is something like Prayerful Litany, and these two traits are here. So Prayerful Litany and Blessed Sanctuary, which buffs your AoE healing. So again, if you need more AoE healing, or just filler traits. So the idea is get as many of, sorry, I have to keep finding them because I don't know the names. Get as many of Permeating Glow and Promise of Deliverance as you can, and then just kind of fill the rest with whatever you want, depending on if you want damage or more healing, or, you know, like another good trait to take is something like Word of Mending, which just, you take a one of, never take multiples of this trait, but this is a good like one of filler trait. So that covers Azerite. Next thing is Essences. So our default setup is going to be something like Crucible of Flame, Ever-Rising Tide, Conflict, and Strife for lower keys, which will help us deal a lot of damage. If we want more of like a real big healing setup, we can go for more of like a Lifebinder's Invocation with a Ever-Rising Tide and Conflict and Strife, or probably Well of Existence instead of Conflict and Strife. Well of Existence will be like our, if we really want just HPS or kind of a little bit more tank healing, something like that. And then we can also go with something for like more long-term or long out, I guess the word is like fights that last too long in tyrannical weeks, that our mana starts being a problem. We can run Memory of Lucid Dreams as a major. So basically for majors, you're looking at running Crucible, Ever-Rising Tide, Memory of Lucid Dreams, Life Binders, and then Well of Existence if you need like really big single target healing, but typically as a Holy Priest, you're not going to really need that. And then as minors, you're pretty much going to want to run Ever-Rising Tide, Conflict and Strife, or Well of Existence as your minor slots pretty much always. There's nothing really else that's worth running as a minor, just because of the raw stat gain and healing output from Well of Existence, Ever-Rising Tide, and Conflict and Strife. So that covers essences, and now we're just going to go over a quick little gameplay clip that I have. This is a super scuffed key. This was scuffed right when we got to the first boss. Even right here, the key was already scuffed, but I feel like it's still worth taking this as an example and using it and kind of explaining it, because a lot of people here that watch these videos and whatnot are probably going to deal with pugging keys and whatnot, because that's just the unfortunate life a lot of us have to live. So this is just a 14 freehold. It's pretty low key. I thought it was going to be, pretty breeze, but Fortified Sanguine Quaking, usually that's kind of a recipe for disaster in pugs. But we'll go into this clip and see what happens. So this is where we're going to lust right here. Which usually you'd think you'd tank this little group of ads on top of the emissary, and we would just kind of like lust and nuke it all down. But instead, the tank decides to pull these mobs away, and so the Void Touch still is doing damage to us while we're trying to deal with a mob that's not even near the Void Touched. So it's incredibly unfortunate. So I'm low mana, and that's why I think this is a good example reference, because we're already in a really bad spot here. We're lusting right now. The Void Touch is literally full HP after getting its first cast off. And we have these 3 mobs killing us right here, and we're all below half HP almost. So basically I go right into Apotheosis here, and I'm just going to start spam healing and making sure I'm utilizing my Holy Words and just topping off the group before each eruption, because I wasn't sure if I would be able to max range the Void Touch and not take damage, which I am, but the entire group isn't over here, so that means they're going to keep taking damage from this, which means we're going to take a total of 3 hits from this Void Touch, which is insanely bad. So it's kind of already doomed, but because we lusted, like, we might as well go for it at this point. So this is where I just really start pump healing, and this just shows how like Holy Priest can actually hard carry if you just need raw healing, or that's what you're kind of looking to do in Mythic Plus. This is like the raw healing output healer, like a Mistweaver Monk pretty much. So you can see I'm just topping off the group here with the Holy Word Serenities, and we get topped off, and then the next explosion happens, doesn't kill those people, Ice Block's too late unfortunately, and then I notice that the Void Touched Emissary is dying, so now I'm just kind of getting the group to a healthy state. Prayer of Healing, just regular healing, pretty much out of mana here, and this is where I kind of go back to doing a little bit of damage with smites and stuff, since we don't have to worry about anything anymore. So yeah, I think that's just a good example. There's not much I can like teach you from that, I guess. One of the major things is you can notice here, is there quaking that happens during this? I think it's afterwards. Let's see. So you'll notice here when quaking happens, obviously you can't cast during quaking, so I finish the cast I'm currently at with this weak where I can kind of tell that I can get this cast off. And then you'll see that instead of just standing here and not doing anything for this 0.2 seconds I'm waiting for quaking to go off, I'm going to just refresh renew on the tank. And that's what I generally recommend during quaking always, is like as a Holy Priest, you should be looking to refresh renew if you don't have a Holy Word up. But you can see down below, I don't have Holy Word up, so I don't have any instant cast available besides my Crucible of Flame, which right now I'm not in a spot to be doing damage, and Crucible of Flame is not really worth using as a single target heal. I guess you could argue that it could be used here more than a renew, but I just use this time to refresh renew because that's a good time to do it, and then I can go right back into healing, and that renew is actually pretty significant for the remainder of its duration. So yeah, that's pretty much Priest. Utilize their big heals to do big heals is basically the idea. Really use those Holy Words and really utilize flash healing separate targets and whatnot, like alternating which targets you're healing, and then Prayer of Healing when you need, all 4 targets healed. And that's pretty much it. So I think that covers everything as far as the Holy Priest stuff goes. So if I missed anything, let me know. Ask me any questions that you might have, and be sure to drop by the Discord that we have. The link's down in the description, at the top of the description, and it's a new official Discord community that I'm going to be running to basically keep in contact with all my viewers and people who watch my stream or tune into the YouTube channel and stuff like that, so that I can have a little bit more of like a personal conversations with you guys just about, you know, WoW in general. If you guys have questions, you can just ask me in Discord and I'll respond within, I mean, usually minutes. So hit me up in there. It's great to see everybody joining that and kind of talking and chatting in there. It's really exciting, and I'm excited to keep pumping out content, especially as the new patch is approaching and I'm in a new guild and we're doing a lot of high-end content and stuff. So that's really, really exciting. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.